Hey guys, it's Katie here with Life in the Mundane and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about Grammar Galaxy. I'm going to be going through all the things that you should know before looking into this program. What you need to buy, why you might like the program, why you might not like the program. We're going to cover it all right here, so let's get started. So what is Grammar Galaxy? Well, it is a language arts curriculum and we will be going into what all is included and not included in it in just a second. So Grammar Galaxy uses a story-based approach similar to a Charlotte Mason style curriculum where they teach the concepts through stories and then they have short activities that they will do to complete afterwards to reinforce those. What it does include is it includes 4 units going through literature and introducing different types of literature, fables and fiction, nonfiction, things like that. The second unit, Adventures in Spelling and Vocabulary. All of the lessons have vocabulary introduced, but spelling and vocabulary are going to go over specific rules or specific vocabulary concepts with your kids. Unit 3 will be your Adventures in Grammar, and we'll have things like verbs and pronouns and prepositions and things like that. And 4 is composition and speaking skills or communication skills. How to write a letter, how to fill out forms, which is one of my favorite lessons, by the way. The elements of a story, how to write a poem, those kinds of things. It just depends on the particular book, which and level of what they cover under each of those categories, but every book has those 4 categories. I'm gonna link down in the description below a link to the full scope and sequence where you guys can check out what is actually covered in each book. But it's a really nice, well-rounded perspective. I love the fact that it touches on so many different parts of language art. Be sure to stick around to the end as we have a special coupon code just for you guys, just for my viewers. If you guys are interested in checking out Grammar Galaxy, you're not gonna wanna miss it. All right, so what does it not include? Well, I want to, specify that it does not include any reading instruction. You should be using your own reading program, phonics-based program, whatever reading program you're looking for or element that you want to do, you're going to want that because there's not any reading instruction per se in this program. If you need ideas of reading programs, 2 of our favorites is Happy Cheetah Reading and All About Reading, and you guys can check out a video I did comparing and contrasting those 2. So that is an option for you. Also, I will say they say that this can be adequate for your, this could be a complete language arts curriculum. I personally don't feel like it is enough for spelling. I do understand the concept basically that spelling lists in general have been proven not to be uber effective, that it's better to learn the rules and concepts. And so they teach rules and concepts in that small section. However, that is 1/4 of the year that you're focusing on that. So I think you could definitely flesh it out to be that. Like you could learn those rules and then continue to practice those even after you're past that section. But I prefer to use my own spelling curriculum personally. However, I still go over that section with my kids because why not expose them to more of that? Will give them a different perspective. Maybe they'll hear it better from this book than they will for the other spelling curriculum. So I do use something separate for spelling. I do technically use this for grammar only because I do have a writing program and I do have a reading program and a spelling program. So I use this for grammar only. However, I like the fact that it covers a lot more than just grammar. If you are looking for something that's going to have you diagramming sentences and doing a lot of in-depth work like that, this is not that book. So I haven't seen the older levels. I've only seen copies of the first 3, but so maybe there's a little bit of that in there, but I highly, highly doubt it. It is more about understanding the concepts in a fun, engaging way and applying them to life skills versus those types of traditional activities. I do love the fact that there is a decent amount of reading comprehension in here. I have kiddos that struggle with reading comprehension, so that is a fantastic addition to this program. So what does a lesson actually look like? If you guys want to see a video flip through of a lesson with us, be sure to drop that down in the comments. But essentially, you as the teacher are going to read out of your teacher guide or the text. You're going to read the story or listen to the audio version, which you'll hear more about here in a second. And you're going to go over the material here. Really fast, easy, maybe 10 to 15 minutes to actually read the story. So you're going to go over and you're going to read this with your child, or if your child is old enough, they can read it themselves, or they can listen to the audio version. So they're going to read this about once a week. You can obviously go through it faster or longer, just depending on your preference. And so you're going to typically read through one of these stories each week. And then in their manual, they have 3 different activities that they are going to be done. And they call them their missions. And so they'll have one that's going to be a review activity, kind of going over things that concepts they've already learned. And then 2 other activities. And these vary wildly from book to book and lesson to lesson. But all of these can be completed in like 5 minutes. So what we like to do is we like to divide it into 2 days. We do our reading and step 1, mission 1 on the first day, and then we'll do mission 2 and 3 on the second day. They do have a section for older guardians, or the advanced section, which will have one additional activity that's maybe a little bit more involved. So you could totally add that on as you want. Some people do it where they do this 3 days a week, and so they'll just do a mission each day. Some people do it where they do all the missions in one day. You decide how you want to do this. But also, just so you know, heads up, it is a faith neutral curriculum. The author is a wonderful godly Christian woman, but she has written this very neutral. So if you are concerned about that being involved, it is not. But as a Christian, there's nothing offensive or anything anti-Christian whatsoever in this. All right, so let's give you a little cheat sheet on everything you need to know when it comes to purchasing the program. What do you need? What supplies do you need? There are a lot of options on the website. So obviously, like we said, there's multiple volumes, multiple levels. And so once you have figured out and nailed down which level you need to get 2 essential things. These are like the base things for the program. And that is the text is what it's called, which is essentially the teacher's book. And then the mission manual. Text, mission manual, student book, teacher's book, essentially. So you need one of these per family. You need one of these per student. This is going to be all of the activities that you are going to do based on the lessons you have learned. These are going to be the lessons you've learned. People ask me all the time, do you have to have both? Yes, you do. This is not, these really can't be used separately. I mean, hypothetically, you could read this, but your kids would never practice the application of that. And yeah, it wouldn't be good. So you do need both of these to complete the program. You can get them in a printed version, obviously, or you can get them in a digital version, which is actually what I have moved to. You can get a printed version of the text and get a digital version of the student book. I mean, there's lots of options for mixing and matching here. But the text is a great thing to get digitally, especially if you have a tablet or even off your phone. Then you can just read it off of that, which is nice and reduces the amount of physical clutter. However, the printed version works great too. I do recommend that you get the digital version of the student book if you fall under one of those categories. 1, if you have a printer, right, or access to a printer. If you don't, go with the printed version. 2, if you have multiple kids that you want to have go through this program. I find it really, really helpful to have this. I am, like I said, a homeschool mom of 6 kids, and I have 4 that are going through the program right now, and then I have 2 little ones. So it's nice to be able to print as many copies as I need for my household, and being able to have access to that, to do that freely. You cannot photocopy. It is breaking copyright laws to photocopy out of the printed text, but you can print as many copies for your household from the digital text. So that is a great investment in my opinion. Also, another reason why you might want the digital over the printed is if you have a child who struggles with grammar concepts and you think you might need to revisit concepts. This is a great way to do this. We can go back, revisit a concept, reprint out a lesson, or maybe print out a few of the extra work for it, extra practice sheets for it, and go through that with them. And that can be a huge, huge help. So definitely something to consider, just personal preference, okay? Now, you might see this and freak out when you think about printing it. However, I will say that not all of this actually needs to be printed. So for instance, in here, integrated in here, we have, I've shown you guys, we have the answer keys for the things. You don't need to print the answer keys. We have the letters for your guardians. So giving them the mission, but also giving them the update. I don't print those. I just read those off my phone. And it makes it more special too. It's like, oh, we got an update. We got an email, or you could print them off and put them in an envelope. I've done that in the past before. And so they get mail from the guardians. And so that can be really cool too. But then again, you'd only need one for the family, not one per kid. So anyways, you can do quite a bit. So this is what my printed version looks like. This is only the first 8 weeks because that's just how I like to do it. I like to print in 8-week increments, 6 to 8 week increments. I printed off the first page in color, but there is no other color in the book, so you're not going to be missing out. A couple of the pages in the activity book, I can do verbally, especially if it's like true or false questions. I like to just do that orally and not worry about actually writing in the book. So I didn't print off those pages. So you can just kind of pick and choose what you want to do, but definitely worth looking into the digital version. 2 other products that you need to know about within their website is they have a vocabulary word like extension packet, right? This is totally 100% optional. I have not personally used this. The vocabulary words that are entered into this program are really more for exposure than they are for drilling or for working in those concepts and trying to make sure kids have nailed those. It's really just more for exposure. However, many parents were saying, hey, we want to expose our kids to these vocabulary words. We want to encourage our kids to use these in their vocabulary. Some people use them as their spelling words for the week. You could definitely do any of that, but because people were asking so many questions about how can I integrate this, they created an activity pack that you can use alongside these missions. And so that's a totally optional thing. Personally, I just prefer for the exposure, but there is nothing wrong with that. If you want to dig deeper into the vocabulary, that is a great option. Another thing that I really love, like really, really, really love, like I'm not gonna say it's mandatory, it's totally optional. The only thing that you need is the teacher or the text and the missions manual. But one thing I really love is the audiobook. Now, it is only available right now for the Nebula and the Protostar level, which is level 1 and level 2. If the demand is high enough, then they will continue making the audiobooks going up through the other ages, but this is so great. They have a fantastic narrator. It is audiobook style versus a textbook style. So voices and words and everything like that. I love it. For my kids, they're more engaging than when I read it personally. So this is the audiobook is the story from the text. All right. So I enjoy using this for my kids to be able to do this independently. So I have some that can't read this level yet, which is totally fine. But because I have multiple kids going in different directions, I can just put it on their MP3 player or stick it on the computer or whatever, and they can listen to their lesson and then do their worksheets on their own. So this helps make it a little bit more independent for your children. Other reason I like the audiobook is because it's so engaging that my kids like to listen to it. It has repeat value. So they actually go over the concepts multiple times as they're just re-listening to the story because they enjoy it. We can we can listen to an episode in the car while we're driving or something like that. And it's great to just have that review. So that's great. Now people ask all the time, is the teacher's book, the textbook, and the audiobook exactly the same? Could I just do the audio instead of the text? Technically, you could, but there are going to be a lot of elements in the text that you are missing out on. All right, there are things like there are reading comprehension questions that are in the text that were not going to be included in your audio version. Also, you'll see there are little charts in here of like what's an abstract noun and actually explaining more in depth what an abstract noun is. The concept will be introduced in the story. It is a story, Charlotte Mason based thing, but you really kind of need the examples to it unless you're just really good off the top of your head. But really, the teacher text is needed. Also, you're going to have those vocabulary words that we were just talking about. So like here, exploited is one of them, or repel, okay? Or repeal, excuse me. Exploited or repeal. Those are going to be heard in the story, but you're not actually going to get the definition unless you look it up on your own or you have it here. So I would say that you probably want to get the text. That's what I do, is I have the teacher's text printed, and then the audiobook and the digital copy of the student books. And that's kind of been my perfect blend. So I will let them listen to it on audio, and then I will go over anything in the book that the audio did not include, and then we will jump into the actual activities. What are some of the things that I love about Grammar Galaxy, and reasons why you might be interested in looking into it for yourself? First of all, the lessons are fun. That is probably number one on my list. Super fun and effective. They love to do Grammar Galaxy and they ask to do it. Having boys especially be excited about jumping into something like grammar is always a positive in my book. The second thing is the lessons are short. Like I said, short but effective. And this allows us to get through more material. It also allows us to be able to leave them wanting more, which is always something that I'm striving to do with my children, is to leave them wanting more so that they enjoy coming back to it and are not dreading coming back to it. The stories they use to teach the kids have some really good repeat value to them. So you can continue to go over these concepts and review without them feeling like they're actually reviewing. I also love for our struggling readers, writers, and things like that, that this book does not have a ton of writing. Now, as you get older, it has a little bit more, but especially in the first book, in the Nebula book, it is primarily circling multiple choice options. It comes with a super cool Grammar Galaxy highlighter. If you buy the printed version, you can also buy the highlighter separately if you want. But it has them go through and circle as pretty a synonym or an antonym and that kind of thing. Matching up which word would come in alphabetical order. If you were alphabetizing this, which word would come first. So they don't need to have the reading skills to do that, and they don't have to do a lot of writing with this. So this was great for my reluctant readers and writers to begin with. There is writing in here, trust me. And every section includes an advanced guardian section, so it has a little bit more writing if you're working with an older child. Okay, so like here, they're gonna write, I can't, this phrase, I can't, 3 times below, but ending it with a period, a question mark, and an exclamation mark. Then read them and see how they sound different. And so anyway, so they'll have things, some are short, some are long. They do have a book in the back of the Nebula one on forms and how to fill out forms, which is my favorite lesson. I really, really love that lesson, to teach your kids that really practical life skill. And so obviously that has writing involved in it, but for the most part, this is going to be a great book for those who struggle with writing. Also, when it comes to our kids who may be struggling, I love the fact that they are not numbered necessarily. It is not a first grade writing or a first grade grammar and a second grade grammar. It's just Nebula, Protostar, Yellow Star, Blue Star, Red Star, and that kind of thing. And so there's really not a concept of your kids feeling like, oh, I should be in this book, but I'm not. They do have a guide online. I'm not going to go through it all here, but they do have a guide online. I will link it down below of where your child might fit. They have some placement tests that you can take, as well as recommendations of once you've either completed this book, move on to the next one, which is a really simple way to do it. Or if you're really getting stuck on grades and want to figure it out, you could say, okay, well, 4th grade would typically be Yellow Star, which is the 3rd one. But there are a lot of kids who do it earlier or later than that. So just be aware that it's tailored to your kid, and that is a huge pro to this program. I also love the fact that it can be used independently, which we'll be talking a little bit more about how I do that here in just a second. And finally, I love the fact that it's like a club. They have a private Facebook page that you can join, and again, I will link that down below, and you can share your kids' experiences. You can ask questions, and the author is on there. She's very, very, very communicative with this. Dr. Melanie Wilson, she has 6 kids herself. She is a fantastic woman and such a great help and mentor to us homeschooling moms, as she has done this successfully for many, many years. And I love the fact that they have a club with this program. So they will send you an email. If you sign up for the email list, they will send you an email that has extra missions that you can do each month to dig a little bit deeper if you feel like it. And if you take pictures and you post them on the Facebook group or on Instagram or on your Facebook and you use certain hashtags, then your child will be entered into being potentially the guardian of the month. And so Melanie picks a guardian of the month, and then she'll mail them some fun goodies like some arm bracelets and stickers and stuff like that. So it's just really fun that your kids feel like they are part of this Grammar Guardians of the Galaxy, which is just a really fun concept. So another pro is the price point. It is very, very, very affordable. And I appreciate that, especially for big families. For international families, they do ship internationally, and they do offer free shipping to a lot of those places. So we've talked a lot about the benefits of the program. What are some reasons why this might not be a good fit for you? If you're looking for something that is very, very intensive, this program is probably not for you. Also, if your kids prefer a heavier workload and they don't enjoy short and fun lessons, and I don't mean that like in a facetious way. I'm serious. I know there are kids that are just like, that stuff is extra fluff, just give me the meat of it. Then this may not be the right program for you. As always though, I always tell parents to pick what's right for you and your child. It might just not be the style fit for you, and that is totally fine. There's nothing wrong with it. There are amazing, fun, fantastic programs that are available to you, and there's no reason why you should settle for one that doesn't fit for you and your family. So look at the different samples online, take the evaluation quiz, see if it's something that jives with you. Like I said, if you want to see future videos of me showing you guys inside the book more, I'm happy to do that. So, take into consideration all of those factors and decide if it's right for you. I do think there are a lot of pros to it, but you have to decide for yourself. That is your job as a teacher, is to decide for yourself what is right for you and for your family. So this is Grammar Galaxy in a nutshell. I know this is a lot of information, but these are the things I wish I would have known prior to jumping into Grammar Galaxy. What it includes, what it doesn't, all of that fun stuff, the pros, the cons, and I hope this has been helpful. If you guys want to see more in-depth videos, I can do an actual flip through of the different levels of books if you want to see what's included in each one. I can do lessons with me and those kind of videos. So just drop that in the comments below and see what would be helpful. You can find Grammar Galaxy down below, and for a limited time, you can use the code LIFE15, LIFE, L-I-F-E, 15 to get 15% off anything in the store, digital, print, doesn't matter, audiobook, all of that. You can use that through September 30th. So be sure to go click on the link below, use that coupon code so that you can get that extra discount. And we will talk to you guys later. Bye.